The assassin baby Brandon Moreno has solidified himself as the king of the flyweight division. He has thrown out Davison Figueiredo. He said, you got to go move weight classes, bro. But Pantoja has been the guy who's been kind of creeping behind the curtains for a while, who's just like, when am I going to get my shot, bro? Like, I beat all of these guys. And the way he does it, would you admit, AJ, like, it's violent. It's very, very violent. Like, how would you describe Alexandre Pantoja's fight style?
The violent is probably the best word, but like a calculated violence, Derek. Pantoja has that kind of a slow burn, I mean, to his career as well, but also this guy knows when to put on the gas, when to really pump it in, when to go for the things that are really going to hurt you. And even if that is a spark from the jump and this guy's all action, it's because he knows he can take it at that point. So whenever he sees his time, this guy goes in for the kill, man. Pantoja is a very dangerous fighter, and that's why I like this fight so much, because Brandon Moreno has evolved so much more as a fighter as well. I mean, through all the battles with Figgy, through all the ups and downs he's had, this guy, Moreno, has really grown to become a different style. We even saw him in his last fight not do the elbows in, arms out. He evolved from that mid-fight camp, bro. This is a different fight we have on our hands. Sure, Pantoja might have got a couple on him before, but this one's going back in, man. New ring when you step in again.
And let's recount history, right? Pantoja has a win in the Tough House, and then he has a win in the UFC that led to Brandon Moreno being cut from the UFC, where he had to go back to the regional scene, work his way back, and look at where we are now. One thing that I will note, though, is that for Alexandre Pantoja, there's some additional confidence that comes in knowing that you've defeated this man twice and that you're simply the better fighter. And some people, at the end of the day, I mean, they have other people's number. What were we saying about Pereira and Adesanya? And honestly, in that moment, Adesanya did just enough homework to be able to capitalize on a mistake that he saw from trends, right? But the way that fight was going, it was looking like he just got his number. It is what it is. I would say this is going to be a little bit different because if you watch on tape, as you just mentioned, they're two completely different fighters. The scary thing about Pantoja, bro, is that he comes in with a willingness to eat shots and give it back to you, but to close distance with strikes so then he could take your back and choke you. And he doesn't just do that in just like his last fight. Like, he does this to everybody. If you look at the Moreno fight, the last one, he did the same thing. And it felt like every shot that he throws has an oomph on it. It has just a crispness to it that just bludgeons his opponents. So when it comes down to a pure power imbalance here, will his power be enough to keep up with the just nonstop pace of a Brandon Moreno? What do you think?
That's interesting because I thought in the last fight, Moreno's footwork, his sporadicness in his footwork, that kind of feathery way he likes to fight, where he's a little light, you can't really touch him because he's everywhere, died down a little bit, and he started to get a little more power on his shots. So I think if he takes that approach, that might be a bad thing, because you're right. Pantoja punches through the target all the time, and he really aims to hurt you. That's why I'm so twisted on this fight, Derek, because there's so many intangibles that we've seen people grow and like almost stay the same at the same point, where it makes it. I mean, the odds. This is the closest we're going to see. This, you could call this a coin toss with how like how much unknowns there's going to be in the rematch, the mental games, things that are going to go. Obviously, it's a -200, but it's still very, very close.
The thing that really concerns me in this matchup, though, in regards to how close it can be, is that if you look at Pantoja and you just look at like his last like 10 fights, right? You got a couple of decisions, yeah. But he's willing to burn it all in that first and second round to chase the finish. And I just think if he tries that, this is 5 rounds, baby. You know, Assassin, baby, he only has gone 5 rounds twice in his last 10, right? But that's neither here nor there. Like, he, I think, does a little bit better, especially if he loses the first couple of rounds. Like, that pace will kind of build. Didn't really happen against Kai Kara-France. It felt like Kara-France was the one building instead of Moreno. But with this style, if he can survive the grappling exchanges between him and Pantoja, I think that if this fight goes over 3 rounds, Pantoja is going to get real fatigued. Power's still going to be there. If he clips Moreno, he could still get him out of there. But I just think that's the edge that we're going to need for Moreno to get the win here. So let me ask you this, man. Do we see a Pantoja with the confidence of, I'm going to go out and steamroll, or does he realize this is his moment? Do we see a little unconventional Pantoja just because this is finally your opportunity for the gold and he's trying to prove to everybody, I'm that guy? What do you think?
I think we're going to see a cool, calculated round one, and then the fire's going to hit, Derek.
Let's go.
As much as he's going to want to reserve the tanks, I don't think maybe even at most he makes it to minute 8. That round and a half area,
Yeah.
because man, we've said it before, man, when the adrenaline is going, they just revert back to where and Pantoja knows his kill. So I think that's where we're going to see it. I was agreeing with you. If this fight goes a little longer, this fight goes a distance, Pantoja's odds start to slim down. But this guy, there's a reason he has a lot of finishes on his record, and it's probably one of the best odds you're going to get for against a champion for a finish we've seen in a while too.
This is a tough one because I would love to say Brandon Moreno finish, right? I would love to say something like that. But I just don't think that the way that the dice is going to shake out in this one, this is flyweights. These are 125 pounders. It's hard to have those finishes like that unless you're a powerhouse of the division. So if a finish comes, I do think it comes on the Pantoja side, honestly. I'm not even going to be surprised. You see that plus 275 submission prop. It's there for a reason. I think that's a real threat. I'm going to roll with Assassin Baby and still across the board. Give me a decision right here. How are you seeing it?
I'm actually taking that plus 275 money right there, Derek. I'm taking the submission, and I think it's going to happen in the late second round. I'm going out Alexandre Pantoja. Ooh, it's going to be a fun night, man. This one's going to be a very, very close and exciting fight.
That's right. And I'll say Pantoja, he's taken Moreno's back before. He's gotten those submission attempts in before. It's a scary prospect. You're right. Closest one on the books right there.